Well, good evening. I'm your host, Robert Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom, presenting 7 ways why emotional snapshots control your life in the here and now. I never just remember, we relive the events from the past, here and now, as emotional snapshots stored in the subconscious are never passive, they're active broadcasts shaping my reactions, decisions, and desires today. These frozen echoes loop through the present, steering our now with yesterday's residue until they're questioned. And that's something I really realized. You're going to question your way out of everything. You're going to think and know your way to yesterday until the emotional till the emotions are questioned. They choreograph our choices. Liberation begins when I stop performing the past and start pulsating the present moment, and now wiring the circuitry of my sovereign sensations that open my soul's urgency. What are emotional snapshots? Emotional snapshots are frozen in time broadcasts of the past sensations looping through your nervous system as rehearsed reflex. Never present and never present veracity. Veracity is truth, but veracity is you never lie to yourself. They're never memories to recall. They're muscle-coded reactions that replay without permission until composted through questions and just letting go, or however you got to do it, hypnotherapy, anything. But if you can question your way out of everything, you stop being caught up in the past. Until composted, they're choreographed. You're now with yesterday's residue, shaping your choices, tone, and trajectory from archived emotions rather than intuitive elevations. Why the nervous system unknowingly controls my life. The nervous system is your silent scriptwriter, broadcasting reflex before thought. We'll read that again. The nervous system is your silent scriptwriter, broadcasting reflex reactions before thought. It loops emotional snapshots, muscle-coded memory, and frozen in time representations into your daily choreography. You never choose the reaction. It chooses you unless composted into conscious circuitry through questions, wisdom, and every other way. Your body responds before your story begins. The nervous system reads tone, posture, and terrain faster than the mind can narrate. It's wired for survival, never sovereignty. Until you now write the reflex into rhythm through sovereign activation to rise out of the past to enjoy the now. Unexamined circuitry becomes unconscious choreography. Without terrain liberation, the nervous system loops yesterday's residue into today's decisions. Liberation begins when you stop performing the past and start pulsating the present, now wiring the loop of your desired lifestyle and your wisdom, inspiration, and intuition into living signal waves of your desired lifestyle. Why egotistical arrogance, stubborn hard-headedness, and know-it-all ignorance stop energetic liberation from emotional snapshots. Subconscious mind frozen in time representation, muscle memory, and your memory circuit board that's in your subconscious is here and now with all your past imprints in it. Ego builds a fortress around the frozen. Arrogance and know-it-all ignorance defend the archive, never dissolve it. They protect emotional snapshots and subconscious loops from being composted mistaking repetition for wisdom, reaction for veracity. Stubbornness resists ignition. It rehearses obedience. Stubbornness resists ignition. It rehearses obedience. Hard-headedness clings to familiar circuitry, refusing to question the choreography of the muscle memory. It loops yesterday's reflex while rejecting sovereign sensation, keeping the memory board locked in the legacy mode of yesterday. Ignorance is never the lack of knowledge. It's a refusal to feel, realize it, and understand it, to embody the wisdom of your day. Energetic liberation requires embodying contradiction, sensing friction, and composting the broadcast. Know-it-all posturing skips the terrain and performs control, blocking the pulse of presence with the armor of certainty. And see, that's something about the egotistical arrogance. It likes certainty. Why the body responds quicker than the mind to outside sources and events. The body is a broadcast tower, wired for speed, never story. Before the mind can interpret, the body has already reacted. And after I wrote this and understand it, I can witness that myself, because you feel it coming up here, well, however you're going to react to the situation. Muscle memory, breath patterns, and somatic reflexes pulse faster than thought, transmitting restored sensation from the subconscious circuit board into motion. And see, that subconscious circuit board has all the past, and the mind likes replaying the pain of the past. So you just keep going into the same way. The nervous system never waits, it loops. External stimuli presses against emotional snapshots of frozen time representation coded in the body. These signals bypass logic and ignite rehearsed reflexes, choreographing reactions before the mind can narrate the meaning of it. How have you responded to life and was responding to it before it ever took place? I do that all the time, but now I'm more aware of it. I'm more liable to question it and have a jailbreak out of there. Presence is somatic as before it's somatic. Your body reads tone, posture, and energy in real time. The mind lags behind, trying to translate what the body already knows. Liberation begins when you trust the pulse over the paragraph. Now writing reflex into sovereign response to respond in fond. What is somatic? Somatic is a sensation before story. Your body broadcasts of truth unfiltered by thought. It's a language of breath, posture, tension, and tone, where emotion lives as movement, never memory. Somatic wisdom bypasses logic and speaks through muscle-coded reflexes, revealing what the nervous system understands before the mind narrates. That's where liberation begins, never by thinking differently, but by feeling freshly and embodying the intuitive energy of it. Why my parents' programming, indoctrinated education, viewpoints, opinions, beliefs, ancestral programming, third world enslaving mindsets stop energetic liberation from emotional snapshots, subconscious mind, frozen in time representation, muscle memory, and the memory circuit board in the subconscious. Inherited mindsets are emotional malware installed before you could choose. Because from the womb to 5 years old, everything went straight into our subconscious landscape, and whatever's in there is in there. However your parents were and your lifestyle was there, they go straight into your subconscious. And I awakened to that about 2 years ago, because I would do things just like my parents, good, bad, or indifferent. I just did. So that's the way a lot of we respond, because we never realize why we're responding. Parental viewpoints, ancestral beliefs, and indoctrinated education embed subconscious scripts that loop through your nervous system. These are never your thoughts; they're your rehearsed reflexes, as disguised as identity. Third world enslaving mindsets choreograph obedience, never sovereignty. They teach survival through silence, conformity, and fear, coding muscle memory without hesitation and self erasure. Energetic liberation composts this choreography, but only if you stop performing their broadcast and start questioning it and get a new flow of liberating lingo within you. Belief systems are circuit boards, never truths. What you were taught to believe becomes architecture of your reactions. That's the way it was for me. Until you dissolve the inherited programming, your emotional snapshots and subconscious loops will keep broadcasting someone else's story through your bodies. And a lot of us live our parents' stories through our bodies. You know, that's the thing when they always, when somebody goes in for addiction or anything, they always try to work on the mind, but they never liberate the body. When you want to rise out of something, you start questioning your body, what you feel in your body. Why muscle memory unknowingly controls my life today. Muscle memory is subconscious choreography, your body's silent director. It moves before you think, reacting to tone, posture, and terrain with rehearsed reflexes. These emotions are never conscious choices, they're archived performances from the past, from past friction. Looping through your now as default expressions. Body remembers what the mind forgets. Let's say that again. The body remembers what the mind forgets. Every flinch, pause, gesture is a broadcast from stored emotional snapshots. You ever notice when somebody you said how you the first time you meet somebody and whatever that is, and that goes, and that person can, or you can't, or me, I can't, I can never get beyond that snapshot. Once somebody takes a snapshot, like when you go into work, if somebody gets, and the boss decides this, once they take that snapshot, it's over. You're going to be that snapshot for the rest of their life. See, people live through emotional snapshots. While the mind narrates logic, the body pulses legacy, responding to the outside world with yesterday's residue coded in motion of whatever it was. Liberation begins when reflex becomes ritual. Muscle memory is never your enemy, it's your terrain. When you embody the contradiction and compost the choreography, you now format reaction into sovereign response to respond in fawn, turning unconscious loops into conscious liberation. And so what is terrain? You keep hearing the word terrain. Terrain is your lived circuitry, the emotional, energetic, somatic landscape within you. Where veracity moves, it's never where you stand, it's what stands in you. Terrain holds your friction, your flow, your forgotten reflexes. Liberation begins when you walk into being awake. Why emotional snapshots, memory, why emotional snapshots, memory board reactions control my life today and your life today. Emotional snapshots are never memories, they're rehearsed reactions. Each snapshot is a frozen echo of the past sensation looping through today's decision and people you meet and how you choose to engage with life. Until questioned, they replay like haunted house reruns, triggering responses that feel instinctive but are actually inherited. Your memory board is never a trap. It's a terrain. It holds the architecture of yesterday's emotional residue. So that circuit board inside you of the past is architect of yesterday, but now it's being the designer of today. When left unexamined, it becomes your default GPS, guiding choices, reaction, relationships based on outdated coordinates. Reactions are never real time, they're reruns. What feels like you today may be a broadcast from a subconscious snapshot. Liberation begins when you stop performing the past and start pulsating the presence of the here and now wow within you, now writing the circuitry with sovereign sensations of your desired lifestyle. Why emotional snapshots, memories, and subconscious frozen in time representation, muscle memory are yesterday's residue flowing through you today and me. Emotional snapshots are rehearsed echoes, never here and now veracity. They loop through your nervous system like reruns, shaping reactions, decisions, and your interactions with other people based on past sensations, never present clarity. I'm going to reiterate that. When you say the word mind or something, the mind operates from yesterday and it operates through yesterday's pain today. Until questioned, they masquerade as instinct while broadcasting outdated choreography. Subconscious mind, frozen in time representations are archived performances. They hold the posture, tone, and emotional circuitry of my moments long gone, yet still choreography your now. These internal relics aren't wisdom, they're residue waiting to be composted into sovereign signal. Muscle memory is embodied obedience until re-scripted to be the scripts of the now. It doesn't just move your body, it moves your story. See, that's the thing. We stay in our story without even realizing it. So if you take the word story out of your life and start presenting a nowography, you move forward. Every gesture, flinch, and pause is a broadcast from yesterday's terrain. Liberation begins when you now format the reflex and pulse the presence into motion. Why the past is a subconscious mind circuit board of the here and now. The subconscious is never a vault. It's a voltage grid waiting for you to hit the on switch so all the stuff in that vault can come pole vaulting out to be part of your life. Every emotional snapshot, belief imprint, and muscle-coded reflex wires your nervous system with yesterday's residue. You know, yesterday's residue, that registered with me. So once I can realize that and embody the liberation, I'll and question it, arise, shine, and energize away. These circuits never archive; they animate, pulsing through your present with programmed choreography. How does your life feel like a programmed choreography? Things occur as they go. The past never fades; it fires. Frozen time representations loop like electrical signals, triggering reactions that feel instinctive, that are rehearsed until composted. They steer your decisions with outdated emotional circuitry. Liberation begins where now wiring replaces replay. The subconscious circuits circuit board is never your enemy, it's your terrain. When you embody contradiction and friction, you dissolve inherited obedience, reformat the memory board with sovereign activation and intuitive elevation. While the outside world triggers your responses, reactions from the subconscious mind frozen in time, representations, emotional snapshots, muscle memory in the body. The outside world is never new. It's familiar terrain disguised as novelty. Every sound, every tone, posture, and glance can echo a frozen time representation stored in your subconscious circuit board of the past. What feels like a fresh moment often activates archived emotion, looping reactions rehearsed in past friction. Triggers are never threats, they're terrain. The terrain signals. External stimuli presses emotional snapshots and muscle-coded memory, never to harm, but to unveil. They activate the choreography of your nervous system, showing you where yesterday's residue still guides today. So that's why when the outside world aggravates something or triggers something within you, it's showing you yesterday's residue for you to question it and liberate yourself from it. Your body never lies, it loops. Muscle memory and somatic reflexes respond faster than thought. The outside world touches a circuitry of stored sensation, and your body broadcasts the past before your mind catches up. Liberation begins when you now format the reflex into sovereign response. Why change, heal, create, forgiveness, transformation never liberates you from emotional snapshots, subconscious mind frozen in time, representation, muscle memory, and the memory circuit board in your subconscious mind. Change rearranges the furniture, but leaves the blueprint untouched. You can shift habits, reframe thoughts, or even forgive, yet the emotional snapshots and subconscious circuitry remain unexamined. The body still broadcasts yesterday's choreography and residue. Surface change without terrain composting is cosmetic, never catalytic. Healing often soothes the symptoms, but yet preserves the loop. Traditional healing can pacify pain, yet it rarely dissolves the reflex. Muscle memory and frozen in time representation continue to steer reactions unless the circuitry itself is written in a liberating way. Without sovereign ignition, healing becomes sedation. Transformation without terrain work is performance. You can create, forgive, transform, but if the memory board still pulses with archived emotions, you're broadcasting from the past in a new costume. Liberation demands composting the choreography, never just changing the stage. Why self-help, personal growth, self-improvement, therapy programming, punctuated writings never liberates me or you from emotional snapshots, subconscious mind frozen in time representation, muscle memory, and the memory circuit board. Self-help polishes the surface but leaves the circuitry untouched. Most growth models operate in the mind's narrative layer, offering reframes and affirmations. Yet emotional snapshots and muscle memory live in the body's broadcast system below the language, beyond logic. So without terrain composting, the loop remains. Therapy often dialogues with the story, never the reflex. Talking about pain never dissolves the choreography. Frozen in time representations pulse through posture, beneath, and tone. Unchallenged by insight alone, liberation demands somatic ignition, never just somatic reflection. Punctuated writing programs the mind, but rarely rewires the muscle. You can journal, affirm, script your way to clarity, but if the memory circuit board still pulses with archived emotional snapshots, your body will keep broadcasting yesterday's choreography and residue. Sovereign liberation begins where the sensation rewrites the script. By cowboy wisdom, hypnoacuity, energetic liberation, energized listening, sovereign activation, emancipating questions, autonomous expansion, politically incorrect inspiration, cowboy wisdom, outlaw optimism, and revolutionary revelations liberates me and you from emotional snapshots, subconscious mind frozen in time representation, muscle memory, and the memory circuit board within the mind. Cowboy wisdom never soothes, it severs. It slices through the polite programming, punctuated obedience, composting emotional snapshots into sovereign signal waves of wisdom, insight, and clarity. It never asks for healing, it ignites clarity in the here and now. Hypnoacuity now wires the reflex, never the rational. It bypasses the mind's narrative and dives into the muscle-coded choreography, dissolving frozen in time loops with breath-line ignition and intuitive elevation and inspirational images of my dreams. Energetic liberation detonates the archive. It never patches wounds, it composts circuitry. By activating sensation over story, it now writes the memory board with raw rhythmic resonance that pulses presence. Energized listening tunes into tone, never tale. It hearkens the broadcast beneath the words, the pulse of archived emotion, and responds with sovereign silence or outlaw clarity, never programmed empathy. Sovereign activation is never improvement, it's ignition of your here and now. It never fixes the self, it dissolves the script. Open up to the sovereign valor of your heart and soul. It composts the choreography of obedience, activates the now script of embodied autonomy. Politically incorrect inspiration breaks the trance. It refuses to perform politeness for approval. It expresses the terrain, never the template, liberating you from the loop of emotional conformity and subconscious sedation. Outlaw optimism, revolutionary revelations never uplift. They unearth the energy within you. They expose the circuitry beneath the smile, the reflex beneath the ritual. They liberate by contradiction, turning friction into fuel, residue into rhythms, and and canny astute key points. And that's the thing, friction and contradiction, they rise you out of everything because it liberates you from you. And this is what this is all about, is energetic liberation is I liberate me. And you're really liberating yourself from the emotional snapshots, because Are you open to realizing and admitting when you first meet somebody, you take a snapshot and that person never gets out of that snapshot because that's what we taught ourselves. So when you open up to Cowboy Wisdom Hypno Acuity, your eyes shine and energize your inner wise to enjoy life your way. I want to thank you. I am Robert A. Wilson, and enjoy your weekend.